Welcome to the 7-Minute Scholar. I'm Jahan Grist, and my job is to make you an instant expert on the topic at hand. But what I really want to do is to make you curious enough to learn more. I'll come back to that in 7 minutes. Today's topic explores two people, one who really lived and one where we really don't know. The first is Pharaoh Akhenaten, who ruled Egypt for 17 years around 1350 BCE and invented the world's first one-God religion, or monotheism. The other is Moses, who millions believe did the same thing around the same time as the founder of Israelite religion, which later morphed into Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So, who were these men, and are they somehow connected? That's what you're about to find out.
We'll start with Akhenaten, the son of Amenhotep III and his wife Tiye. His original name was Amenhotep as well. When his dad died, Amenhotep IV inherited Egypt and its entire empire at its peak, a superpower running from Nubia, south of Egypt, all the way to Syria. At first, his portrayals make him look like the other kings of the Egyptian empire, young, handsome, and very full of himself. The newly minted pharaoh also inherited Egypt's traditional religion, a spectacular world of sacred texts, myths, and beliefs populated by over 700 gods and goddesses. What you're looking at now is just the A-list superstars.
But something happened a few years after Amenhotep IV first sat on the throne. If you were an Egyptian living in his kingdom, you'd think the guy had just plain gone nuts. You'd also think your world was coming to an end. Handsome Amenhotep IV suddenly revealed a very different self.
And it wasn't pretty. What's worse, his wife looked just like him, and his kids did too. And he changed his name to Akhenaten, meaning one who was of service to the god Aten. Now, Aten was one of the B-list deities floating around among the 700, the disk of the sun associated with the solar god Re. But in one staggering command, Akhenaten banned all the deities, their priesthoods, and their power, except for the Aten. There was only one god, and that was that. The many gods were suppressed, and the Egyptian economy, as well as its empire, tanked.
For more than a decade, the overwhelming majority of Egyptians lived a nightmare, wondering fearfully what this pharaoh would decree next. But life was short in Egypt, even for royalty, and Akhenaten passed from the scene around 1340 BCE. His religion of the Aten died as well, and the Egyptians tried to recover from the most spiritually traumatic experience of their 2,000-year history so far. The problem was, they didn't.
Was there a Moses? Well, if so, who was he, and what did he believe? The problem we face here is simple. To what extent do we accept the biblical texts of faith as fact? I can't answer that one, but for now, let's assume there was a Moses. Could Moses have been a Hebrew slave? The answer is a definite maybe. Canaanite captives, including the mysterious Habiru, perhaps the word that's the basis for Hebrews, we don't know. These people were marched into Egypt by the conquering pharaohs of the era. What about his name? Well, scholars agree that a Hebrew origin for the name Moses is pretty doubtful. It's far more likely that Moses is an Egyptian name meaning child, like Pharaoh Tutmosis, the child of the god Thoth, or Ramses, the child of the god Re. What did Moses believe about God during his lifetime? Well, again, we can't be sure. But assuming he was a Canaanite slave, he may have worshipped the god El, whose name became one of the names of the God of Israel. If Moses hailed from the Negev or farther south, he may have worshipped an obscure, invisible desert god of the era known as Yah, whose name may be the same as what we mispronounce as Jehovah. And finally, he may have revered other deities, including the Canaanite goddess Asherah, whom many later Israelites worshipped as Jehovah's wife.
But then there's that great Egyptologist Sigmund Freud, who believed that Moses was actually an Egyptian, who worshipped the Aten of Akhenaten. Nice try, but Freud didn't understand how very different Atenism and earliest Israelite religion were. Then there's the problem of when Moses and Akhenaten lived. We know Akhenaten's dates. We can only guess the dates for Moses, assuming that he actually lived at all. So are Moses and Akhenaten's monotheisms connected in any way? Once again, the clear answer is maybe, and it all has to do with the trauma caused by Akhenaten.
After he died, Akhenaten's religion and his name were swept away from the official memory of the state, something very rare in Egyptian history. When he was mentioned, his new title was that criminal of Akhenaten, referring to the name of the capital he built in Middle Egypt practically overnight. But here's the thing. The state removed his memory, but ordinary people seem to have remembered it and developed their own horror stories about an ancient evil king who believed in only one god and tried to kill all the others. In short, monotheism was cursed in Egypt, and anyone who practiced it was evil.
Fast forward from the 14th century BC to the 6th. At that time, Egyptians finally started running into a group of people, refugees who had actually fled to Egypt, who believed in only one God. Who were they? What happened to them over the centuries that followed? How is all of this connected to Moses? Well, sadly, my 7 minutes are up. So if you want the whole story, take my class on Moses, Akhenaten, and the troubled birth of monotheism. You have the option of meeting in one of our classrooms, attending live online, or anytime via full video recording. It's just that simple, and here's how to do it.
Just click on the link in the middle of your screen to register. A few days before the course begins, all students will receive a welcome email showing them how to use the online option, so try to avoid registering at the last minute. Of course, you can come to our regular classroom for any or all of the sessions. It's up to you. Either way, you can enjoy the entire course, whatever your schedule, wherever you live. See you soon!